Good morning, everybody. We are starting our shiur again with no physical contact, but we, with the Spirit, are together. And it's the Seder night tomorrow night, so we're going to eventually, of course, talk about Seder night, about the Agadah. And one of the things that we do in the beginning is we bless Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'gianu lazman hazeh. And the question is, how can we pray in a time like this, Shehecheyanu v'kimanu lazman hazeh, like we're sitting here and we're going to sit alone with our families apart, and we say Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'gianu lazmeh. So this is a place where we have to understand what is this blessing that we say Shehecheyanu v'kimanu lazman hazeh. And if you're already talking about it, we have to remember that through generations, Am Yisrael was sitting in a ghetto, in a concentration camp, in the Spanish Inquisition times, or pogroms, and they used to say the Agadah, and they used to bless Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'gianu lazmeh. And maybe there is here another thing to understand. First of all, whatever God is doing is for the best, for the better. But we don't always see it from the beginning. The whole idea of Yetziat Mitzrayim, getting out of Egypt, what is the idea behind it? Who put us to first place in Egypt? God. Kadosh Baruch Hu put us there. So we are thanking Him about taking us out of Egypt. Don't put us in and don't take us out and everything is okay. But we have to understand the part of the procedure to become Am Yisrael was going into exile, going into Mitzrayim. And then from this we become Am Yisrael. It's like in training. If you are in a special unit, you have to do special training in order to be a good soldier. Without the training, you get nothing. The disadvantage is the thing that brings you to the advantage. From the darkness shines the light. Without darkness, you don't see the light, you don't understand the light. So one of the things that we have to understand, that when we say Shehecheyanu, first of all, it's on the strength of us, of all of us, of Am Yisrael, to go through hell, to go through very difficult times and still be here. And we're going to be here for many, many years. So of course, what we've got now, it's nothing. But it's a reminder. It's something to think about. So when we say Shehecheyanu, we have to understand, yes, this is a good time. This is a time that we have to think and maybe do some same changes and go ahead. The Agadah starts, Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halayla. What is the difference between this night to all other nights? So this question this year is really a good question, because this is a unique moment in the history of Am Yisrael. So we have to use it in a proper way. So even though we sit by ourselves, we have to understand that the halacha says, even if you're by yourself, you still ask Ma nishtana and you still read the Agadah. And if we are 2 or 3, the same story, the same old story. And also we see when the Agadah starts from Avadim Hayinu, from a low point, from a point that we are slaves. This is also the idea, to understand in order to become free, you have to go through a certain procedure to understand what's the meaning of being free. Then you can appreciate it. So we also, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will appreciate it, what is to be a part of a community, a part of a family, what is the idea of being together as a family. And in this night, one of the main things is, even if, va'afilu kulanu chachamim, kulanu nevonim, kulanu zkenim, we all wise people, we are old, we know everything, we know the whole Torah, kulanu yidim da Torah. Mitzvah aleinu, there is a mitzvah to speak, not speak, to tell the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. And this reminds me, when we were a young couple, we used to have Seder night with my parents-in-law and another family. And this family were very clever kids. And the whole Seder night was like arguing between them and everybody showing off how clever he is and all those discussion and pilpulim and the complicated stuff. And at that time I thought, wow, how clever they are. And years later I understood that we really didn't do the Seder night in a proper way. Because the idea of the Seder night is not trying to show how clever I am and bring complicated things of learning. The idea is tell the story. And here we see, even if you're wise, even if you're very clever, even if you're old, even if you know everything, you still, mitzvah aleinu lesaper b'yetziat Mitzrayim. There is a mitzvah to tell the story. Not only the Haggadah is telling us it once. וכל המרבה לספר ביציאת מצרים הרי זה משובח. And not just tell, even if you're going to go on and tell the story again and again and along, make it the whole night. That's a mitzvah. And we see it right in the beginning, right afterwards. Maaseh ברבי אליעזר. We're talking here about 5 figures from the Gdoilim of the Goyim, the greatest figures in Am Yisrael. Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Eliezer, which is the rabbi of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azar, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tarfon, שהיו מסובים בבני ברק, and they were sitting in Bnei Barak and telling, what did they do? Had a difficult learning, complicated discussion? No. מספרים ביציאת מצרים. They were telling the story of יציאת מצרים the whole night. And they were so involved in it that morning came, and the Talmidim came and told them, רבותינו, הגיע הזמן קריאת שמע של שחרית. And here is also something that we have to understand. When we talk about Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon, they were sitting together at Yom Tov, at the Seder night. They were sitting together where? In Bnei Barak. Why in Bnei Barak? Why don't they sit with their families, which is the mitzvah of the Yom Tov, to be with your family? And then if we talk about being with a family, also another interesting point is, when we talk about Bnei Barak, who was living in Bnei Barak? You know who was living in Bnei Barak? Rabbi Akiva. And this is another interesting thing, because Rabbi Akiva is the student, is the Talmid, and Rabbi Eliezer is the Rebbe. So how is it that the Rebbe comes to his Talmid to sit with him in the Seder night? Which is also interesting. The point is that those 5 figures, there were a group of Chachamim from Am Yisrael, of rabbis, that used to go to Rome when we have problem. We have to remember, this is the time that the temple is in destruction, and Rome is ruling over us, and every once in a while they have a new order, a new gzeira on upon us. And those 5 figures used to go to Rome to talk with Caesar, in order to make things better. And why they are now in Bnei Barak? One of the answers is that they were doing it because they were going to Rome in one of those occasions, and they were coming back. It was already very near Seder night. They couldn't go up north where most of them lived. They had to stay in the nearest place. The nearest place was Bnei Barak, that on the way, and Bnei Barak, who was living there? Rabbi Akiva. So they went to Rabbi Akiva. But there is a better answer. That is a big lesson for us. There is a few stories in the Gemara about this same group of people. One of them, for example, is that they were going in one of those things, they were going to Rome. And far away, like we're talking about many, many miles, like let's say the distance between Ra'anana and Eilat, for example. They were hearing the crowd in Rome, the noise from far away. Okay, it was, at that time there were not a lot of cities and not so developed as today, but still, you're talking about a big, big distance. In other words, it meant that Rome was a big town with a lot of action, and they were crying, and Rabbi Akiva is laughing. So they're asking, why are you laughing? He says, why are you crying? He says, what do you mean? Eretz Israel is in ruins, the temple is destroyed, and we hear here that all the joy and happiness from Rome, far away, of course we will cry. Says Rabbi Akiva, cry? You have to laugh, you have to be happy. Because if this is what God does to those who would disobey Him, imagine to yourself the reward that we that do what He wants are going to get. One story. Another story. The same group of people going in Jerusalem, and suddenly they see from the ruins of the temple, a fox comes out, and they cry, and Rabbi Akiva is laughing. So they're asking, Rabbi Akiva, are you crazy or something? What's wrong with you? How can you laugh? He says, why are you crying? What's the problem? He says, what? You don't see a fox going in the ruins of the temple? You have to cry. He says, no. You have to laugh now. You have to be happy. He says, why? He says, this is the prophecy. And the prophecy comes alive in front of our eyes. That shu'alim ilchu bo, that foxes will walk around the ruins of the temple. Now, if this prophecy came true, It means that all the others' prophecy are also going to come true. And the prophecy of then at that time, elderly and younger and kids were all sitting in the town of Jerusalem that is rebuilt. Says, Rabbi Akiva nichamtanu. Oh, really, this is a big comfort. And they were all understanding the idea. This is Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, even in the worst time, sees the light. Now, let's go back. Why they were in Bnei Brak with Rabbi Akiva? Difficult times. Where can you sit and be happy and talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim and feel that you're getting out of Egypt at a terrible time like this? Rabbi Akiva place. Why? Because Rabbi Akiva always sees the light in the dark. So if you want to be happy at a bad time, you go to Rabbi Akiva, because Rabbi Akiva will show you the light. And this is a big, big lesson for us. Sometimes we go through difficult times. We have to understand whatever God is doing is the best thing for us. We not always see it, but we have to see, always look and try and see the bright light that waits for us. And we have to understand that's the same idea of Yetziat Mitzrayim. From the darkness comes the light. Then we have to give this message to our children. We have to give this message to the others. בארבעה בנים דיברה התורה, says the Agada. There are 4 kinds of children that you have. And those are the children you have to pass over the message. אחד חכם, a wise one. אחד רשע, an evil one, a rasha. אחד תם, innocent. And אחד שאינו יודע לשאול, doesn't know how to ask. Now, the innocent is somebody that, he doesn't really see the real picture. So you have to tell him what's the whole idea and what God did for us. He looks at the world like in eyes of, okay, it happens. He's innocent. He doesn't think more on it. The one who doesn't want to ask, doesn't even know how to ask the question. He is far away from us. He doesn't understand what's the whole idea about. So you don't wait for him, because he's not going to ask. You have those people, they sit, they don't talk. They just listen. They don't get involved. He doesn't know how to ask. You will tell him the story. But let's go to the Chacham and Rasha. The Chacham, what is he saying? What are all those laws that our God told you to do, ordered you to do? So you tell him the laws of the Pesach, and then after the Afikoman, you don't eat anything else. And we are asking ourselves, is this really a clever question from a clever guy? What are those laws? What do you mean? You are a clever guy. You must learn the laws. So what are you asking? What are those laws? What's the question? What is so clever about this question? Then also, what is this answer? He's asking what are the laws, and you ask him, you don't eat nothing after the Pesach, the Korban Pesach. Now let's go to the Rasha. Before we explain what the Chacham is saying, let's see what the Rasha is saying. Ma ha'avoda azot lachem? What is this work to you? Because he says lachem velo lo, to you and not to him. Lefi shehotzit atzmo min haklal, he took himself out of the community. Kafar ba'ikar, he's a kofar. And you will give him in his teeth and tell him, if you have been there, you wouldn't get out. And we are asking ourselves, 1 minute. If we look at the question of the Chacham and the Rasha, they were similar. The Chacham is also saying, Asher tziva Hashem Elokeinu etchem, you, not him. And what is the Rasha saying? Lachem velo lo, to you and not to me. So what's the difference? The difference is very clear. The Chacham is saying, Hashem Elokeinu. He's not taking himself out. He says, it's my God. But I want to understand you, the elderly, you, the clever. As we said, afilu kulanu chachamim, kulanu nevonim, we're all clever and wise and old. We still have to tell the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So he's asking, why? Why do you need to tell the story? You know it. You know it by heart. You were saying it the whole year around, Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim, Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim. And also, On top of it, you are sitting now from who knows how many years, and you are very clever people. You know it all. So why do you need to sit in the Seder night? It's a very clever question. And what is the answer? The answer is also very clever. What is afikoman? Afikoman is the matzah that we eat at the end of the Seder, which is against the Korban Pesach, because we haven't got the Korban Pesach today, so we eat the matzah, afikoman, as the Korban Pesach. Afikoman in Aramaic is dessert. So really the Torah is telling us, En maftirim achar Pesach afikoman, that you're not allowed to eat dessert after you finish eating the Korban Pesach. And because of this, we call the matzah that is against Korban Pesach afikoman, because the dessert today is the matzah, the Korban Pesach. There is no other dessert. You're not allowed to eat anything after you finish eating the Korban Pesach, which is the matzah, which is called afikoman, because that's the dessert. There is no other dessert. Okay, but what is this exactly answering the question of the Chacham? That he's asking, what are we doing here after we know it all? And here we come to the point of the Seder night. We really, every day, a few times a day, saying Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim, remembering Yetziat Mitzrayim. So why really do we need to sit the whole night and talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim? Because unfortunately, during the year, we get used to things. And we see things around us and we start thinking that there is something else here. For example, now dealing with this corona, we deal with the corona, we don't really deal with what's the reason for the corona. The reason of the corona is that God sent it to us in order to look into what we do and to change our ways. We think that Trump or Bibi Netanyahu or all the others, they control, they do nothing. Only one is doing it, it's God. That's why the whole night we sit and we talk about the 10 plagues and we talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim. That is the basic of our belief. That's what the matzah is calling also matzat emunah. Because this is the way to put in ourselves on strengthens and put the fire into us in believing in God and understanding how God is great and there is nothing except God. That's the idea of the 10 plagues. To tell us, first of all, there is a God. Then God is also here. He looks after each one of us separately, individually. And then there is nobody else, only God. That's the Seder night. Unfortunately, during the year, we think that people just happen. Things just happen. No, the Jones don't just happen. It's all from God. So now we see how clever the Chacham is asking and how clever is the answer. That's why we have to leave the Seder night with a taste of the Korban Pesach, with a taste of this flame of Emunah, and not eat anything else that will forget the idea of this night. Because the idea of this night is to put the flame back again, the flame of Emunah, to raise up our belief. From the other side, let's look at the Rasha. So the Rasha is saying, okay, what's this Rasha? What do we do? We bang him in his teeth. So next year he's not going to sit with us. And tell you the truth, the fact that he's sitting with us in Seder night means that it's not, we didn't lose the battle. He is here, he's still here asking questions. So I saw Rav Ezrachi, he says a very interesting thing. He says, the point is, we don't know how to read this. And in life, we all know that sometimes the way you say things change the whole meaning. It says like, Hu chacham, he is clever. He is clever? He is clever. There's a big difference. He's clever, he's not, meaning he's not clever, he's stupid. He says, he's clever, wow, he is a very clever guy. He says, the same story is here. He said, what do we really say is, Afata Ket Shinav is telling us, our dear child, you know, you're breaking our heart. Because when you talk like this, and we don't realize that Chas v'chalila, Chas v'sholom, when the Mashiach is going to come very soon, Bezrat Hashem, he's not going to take you. You are going to be left behind. And you're going to break our hearts. Oh, this goes directly into his heart. It's like the Rebbe Uri Zohar said, interesting point. He says, you know, sometimes we don't know how to act with our children. We see the children go in bad ways, so we shout and we send them away. He says, that's not the way to do it. He says, if your child goes around and comes back in 4 o'clock in the morning, you should leave him a plate with cookies and write a note. Daddy and Mommy love you. That's going to be more effective than sending him away. And you have to wait. He says, I know a guy that at the age of 40, he changed himself. And before this, he was hating Talmidei Chachamim, he was hating the Torah, to the point that he said, if you bring me a Talmid Chacham, I'm going to bite him, I'm going to eat him, I'm going to kill him, whatever. You know what this guy is? This guy is Rabbi Akiva. That at the age of 40, he changed himself. And all the Torah we've got today is from Rabbi Akiva, which is the rabbi of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He says, Rabbi Uri Zohar, I'm also. You know, sometimes I'm asking myself, if the rabbi who made me do tshuva, why didn't he come before, when I was young? He says, you know why? If he would have come to me when I was young, I wouldn't listen to him. I would throw him. He came in the right time. He says, sometimes we have to be patient. Even the Rasha, even the son, the Rasha, at a certain time, if we know how to act with him and how to show him the way, there will come a time and he can change himself to be better. And then he goes on with another interesting story, that while he was talking with a kid that was learning in a yeshiva, a special yeshiva, his problem was that when he learned in a normal yeshiva, he was sleeping the whole day. And, you know, at the end of the day, the rabbi just threw him out, says, I don't need somebody who sleeps the whole day. So they found a special yeshiva for special kids like him. And the Rav Uzi Zohar is asking him, what's the difference? I don't understand. You're sleeping there and you're sleeping here. So what's the difference? He says, you know what the difference is? At that yeshiva, when I woke up in the afternoon, 20 minutes before Shkia, when like in a few minutes, I cannot lay tefillin, I lay the tefillin, you know what they told me? Look at this guy, what a chutzpah. Look at what time he gets up and lays tefillin. You know, in this yeshiva here, when I get up 20 minutes before Shkia, and I lay tefillin, says, wow, look at the tzaddik. Look at the tzaddik, look! He woke up especially to lay tefillin. So it's always a way, it's a point of view. It's how you look at things and how you behave and how you act. So we see now an interesting point of the Chacham and the Rasha. If we will learn and to know how to send a message to others in the right way and understand what the Agada is trying to do, we will do the best thing that can be. And this is exactly the job that we have in Seder night. So yes, this year, maybe we cannot sit with our children and grandchildren, and some cannot sit with the parents and the grandparents. We are far away. But in our mind, we can be with them. There are also a few ideas to do if we want to be with them at the Seder night. So we can write a few things and send it to them, and they will read it at the Seder night. Or we can also, an hour before the Yom Tov comes in, to connect each other and do a small Seder night, a small thing. And v'higatta lebincha b'yom ha'u le'emor. And Bezrat Hashem, if we will do this Seder as we should do, after Pesach, Bezrat Hashem, we will have a whole different situation. Chag Sameach and Kol Tuv.